Robot Wars Extreme Warriors Season 1.
Also known as a shit ton of loner bots.
Thankfully there was only one loner bot in this episode, so haters gonna hate.
Let's keep going.
How's it going, everybody? Happy Friday the 13th to all. I am the Hardcore Kid, and as always, I have Otaku Nate with me.
And now for something completely different.
This isn't gonna be full of Monty Python references, is it?
I guarantee you not.
Holy macaroni. So today we're going to be reviewing the War of Independence episode of Robot Wars Extreme Warrior Season 1. But to do this, us two Americans must have two British guys to join us for this epic battle of internet reviewers. Might as well call it the Robot Wars Reviewer War of Independence, if so. Okay, I don't know. What do you think? So joining us today, making his return, we had to make up for the audio catastrophe that was the House Robot Rebellion episode. Apparently, I derped my Skype recorder, and I ended up with this zoning white noise. No relation to Seamus, but we have Anderson.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
You sound good today. How you doing?
Actually, quite meh, because my mouth hurts because I went to the dentist today. So, yeah.
Don't worry, we won't have you talk too much.
Yeah.
You brought him onto a podcast not to talk.
He'll make the occasional quip here and there.
Oh,
I'm sure he'll be making a lot of quips during the General Chomps-a-Lot Stinger match. But,
oh, yes.
And of course, also making his big return, I believe this is his first time he's reviewing Extreme Warriors. He just hit 7,000 subscribers on YouTube, and he's just getting his big heavyweight robot Mantis almost ready for the next event. It is Alexthehunted.
Ah, yes, I'm just here keeping warm in the smoldering remains of Channel Awesome.
Way to
You
be
mean
topical.
Channel Larry.
That won't date this episode at all.
Yeah, we were originally supposed to have Owain, aka Tentagester, on here, but unfortunately his schedule wouldn't line up with ours, so we went with Alex instead. Besides, Owain's Welsh, and from what little research I did, the Welsh did not partake in the War of Independence.
Oh,
They did in
really?
They did
So
in the
what is
first
Panic
one.
Attack?
What?
Yeah.
What'd you say? One at a
Panic
time?
Attack's well.
If the Welsh didn't take part, then what is Panic Attack?
I meant the actual War of Independence.
Or
Yeah.
Apollo.
The Welsh in the War of Independence in the 18th century, all they did was just stay home, herd sheep, drink ale, and in their towns.
Hate the British, like they always. Basically, England is surrounded by people that hate England.
Yeah, the Welsh just stayed home drinking ale in their town of Pontypandy or whatever towns they have.
The good thing is we all hate them as well, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Basically,
hating the British,
most of Europe is just we all hate each other.
And we wouldn't have it any other way.
what's so funny
hap-
about peace, love, and understanding? Yeah, so,
What a great way to show that hate by creating a European Union, even though we all hate each other. We're not even doing that anymore, which is cool.
Well, so this episode, speaking of English hating, how about Rebecca Grant in this episode, eh?
Oh boy.
Christ.
I mean, some people like to scrutinize me because I like to... They think I hate the UK. How dare they beat us all the time in all these events? Nah, it's just a gimmick. I mean, heck, I portrayed a British person in a grand majority of my Hardcore Kid shows.
And
With your your British accent in those videos was a lot better than most actors who try to do a British accent.
and then Jeffrey Kitsch stole your gimmick.
The heck with him. Him and his Thomas the Tank Engine reviews. What's next? Is he going to be doing Thomas Young Ones parodies? Welcome back to 2007.
I thought doing Godzilla reviews was a niche area. That's a niche area.
You know what? Godzilla is a bunch of big scary monsters destroying shit and murdering a bunch of people. That's real hardcore right there. Come on, man.
Well, I don't know. I've seen some of the shit that happened in Thomas the Tank Engine. That's pretty.
Don't Don't you mean Thomas the Bouncy Engine?
Oh, don't
I
let's.
mean, how many times in Thomas the Tank Engine have it basically been incidents that would most likely have killed a person?
Well,
Quite a few.
well, Alex, as they say in the show, luckily no one was hurt.
Oh, but let's get away from that horror show that is those talking engines, and let's look at a bunch of other remote-controlled vehicles with deadly jaws and metal dick with balls and giant flipper and a giant spinning tuna can. We have the Extreme Warrior Season 1 War of Independence, and I'm going to say this right now. I prefer this so much more over the Series 4 War of Independence, and for a couple good reasons. Number one, the Series 4 War of Independence featured few good UK machines against a bunch of really crummy US bots. With the
Well,
major
apart from
exception Frenzy, and to a lesser extent Ramstein. But this match had a good mix of US bots and UK bots, and this resulted in a lot of really close matches, I thought.
Mm.
And I don't mean to be biased, since the US teams won quite a few matches here. It was pretty
But
much
they didn't win the championship.
new. And you know what? That's what I kind of wish the Series 4 one had been. It was like all the US bots are losing, so it's up to Frenzy to finally get the victory for the US at last. And unfortunately, that didn't happen.
To be honest, even if Frenzy fought Panic Attack, they wouldn't have won. Like I know Frenzy beat Panic Attack in BattleBots, but in the Robot Wars arena, BattleBots they have a pit, and I would have absolutely seen Panic Attack pushing Frenzy in the pit, and also in the BattleBots match against Panic Attack had signal problems. So
yeah. Well, thank God we have Spectrum radios now. Speaking of which, what radio you using for Mantis, Alex?
Fly Sky.
Oh, I look up. I'd recommend getting the Spectrums, because those I think are
The
much
problem with the
more reliable.
Spectrums are they are very expensive, and the Fly Sky is basically the cheap alternative, which is, I mean, quite a lot of teams use those as well, like Gruffalo, and quite a lot of the budget teams use them.
You'd never guess that we were sponsored by both those companies.
No.
Spectrum, don't you mean Specky?
Spectrum. By the way, today's episode of the Hardcore Podcast is sponsored by Kitbots, Spectrum Radios, and KFC.
And if that isn't enough, there's something else that can help you with your robot fighting troubles. It's an app called SeatGeek.
Oh, Nate and his urinating tree. He's big fan. I guess we'll get on to. Do we want to cover each machine, or do we just want to get to the battles?
Well, we might as well cover the UK machines, since that's the only time they're going to appear in this series.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I guess we'll start with the winner. And unfortunately, I think this is was this? This is probably the last time we'll see David Gribble in Robot Wars, at least in terms of.
Well, the last time he ever drove Pussycat was in the Vengeance match against Panic Attack. I mean, Razor. Yeah.
What a way to go, Alex. I think I'm going to agree with Nate with what he said. This is probably one of Pussycat's finest performances.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He had a lot of tough machines going in. It looked. There were times where it looked like it was about to get knocked out, but it managed to come back and finally get the victory in the end.
They hit the hope
God
spot.
bless Dave Gribble. He got the hope spot. The U.S. got the heat on him, but he made a comeback.
Yeah, Christ. I mean, I think it was that fight that made General Chomsel have to make a second robot, because after the final against Pussycat, it was pretty wrecked.
Well, a lot of it looked kind of cosmetic, and to be honest, General Chomsalot, at least this version, it was mostly used just for grabbing onto things. It wasn't really capable of doing any damage. Thankfully, they changed that when they brought Jawbreaker's Revenge and General Chomsalot 2, which now had much better crushing power. They can legit grab onto robots, actually bite right through them, and much improved. And to be honest, I've never really been that big a fan of General Chomsalot, particularly after the Robotica Series 3 incident, where it spent the entire labyrinth using its opponent as a glass breaker. And I'm like, How is this even fair?
That is
That's the thing, is they
cheap.
probably didn't have a rule against that, so it's completely fair, technically, in the rules.
Didn't you turn around? I remember actually you uploaded Robotica season 3 quite a many year ago.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm right thinking. I remember hearing you shout, "Let go of him, damn it!"
Yeah, that was when I recorded it with my camera towards the TV, and at that point I was just getting angry.
And people complain that Razor never let go.
Well,
yeah.
No,
Sorry, go on.
No, you go on. You go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, I was very happy with Pussycat's performance in this episode because it is one of my all-time favourite robots.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to what you said earlier about Rebecca Grant being a bit meh, with a bit biased, should we say? I think it was a bit odd that they didn't try to mention how successful some of the British robots had been previously. Like Pussycat, for example, at this point was ranked second in the UK. It had come runner-up. Stinger came technical third place the series before. I mean, like in the English ones, especially later on, you got, like, for example, they mentioned that Black Hole was the first German champion, that Pulverizer won the second Dutch war. So that made it seem like these other machines were going up against something tough and not just some random thing from another country that just came along for one episode. And I was surprised that they didn't try and say that more.
Shh, we're not supposed to tell them it takes place in the UK.
Oh, sorry, of course, sorry, yes, of course, sorry.
Although at one point,
they actually shipped the house robots over via plane. Yeah, they got
the entire arena.
They stole our arena and our house robots. They took the UK series.
They took the house robots, the arena, and the judges.
Yeah, no, that no Sharky. That's not the real no Sharky. That's just a lookalike from Yale and Stanford.
I mean, it's totally not like in some of the pit scenes you can see like Julia Reed or Philip Forrester in the background.
Yeah. Or Major Tom, as they most prominently showed when they showed Rebecca in the pit, and she just stands right in front of the Major Tom pit booth.
Who isn't fighting in this episode.
Why did Major Tom not enter? Surely that would have been the ideal robot to have represent the UK.
I mean, you can't get a more British-looking robot than Major Tom.
Well, you got Plunderbird, which had the big Jack flag on the back.
About Plunderbird, I honestly think this was probably Plunderbird's best performance, Plunderbird 5 especially his best performance.
We'll get to that eventually.
We talked about Pussycat. I guess we talked about what we could with General Chomps a lot. How much else is there anything else to say about General Chomps a lot, really?
I hate it. Moving on.
I hate it too.
Actually,
so move on to the second round robots.
Actually, may I? Because I didn't get to do my thing.
Okay.
Pussycat, Cutting Blade, and General Chomps a lot.
General Chomps-a-lot, Biter Bot.
Pussycat
I would love to see a tag team between General Chomps-a-lot and Bucky the Robot. That'd be fun.
I think Mike put it best when describing Pussycat. Pussycat's the death by 1,000 cuts robot.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a beautiful design, I gotta say. And
that being said,
there are some machines who've tried to copycat it. I know the newest version of Twister was basically a Pussycat.
Oh God, yeah. I don't believe in the word clone or copycat or anything like that because I believe that there are only so many designs. But if there was one I had to agree with, it would have been that. I mean, these guys bought us Berserk 2, and then they come along with what is essentially Pussycat. I'm not
Pussycat with a drill.
Yes. But what they did was they put that, it wasn't a drill, it was like a bludgeoner, like like the sort of face spinner, but they put it on the back of the robot, so basically it couldn't do that whole thing that Pussycat could do, where it could rear up on its 4 wheels.
Also, good job. You can cut your tires with that thing.
Yes.
Boy,
Christ. But let's be saying like Pussycat. It's, I mean, even by, but let's be honest. I mean, when there's no way Pussycat could come back nowadays. Like there was no way they could upgrade Pussycat because it would just simply gyro. It would be like the Pussycat in the Xbox game.
Oh God.
Just
stick a giant E-Tech motor and have it just go flailing all over the place.
Yeah, that would be what Pussycat would be if they tried to upgrade it to now the modern day spinners.
Yeah. So we covered Pussycat, we covered General Chomps a lot. Let's cover a machine who, congratulations, it finally won a match, and now it'll never win another match again. It is Joker.
The Joker. Flailbot.
Now, there is a little bit of controversy regarding Joker in this episode, particularly in its match against Spawn again, where when they have the stat board going up, Joker is already in full spin mode, and it's still in spin mode right as the match begins.
But honestly, the way the match went, even if it wasn't spinning, Spawn again probably would have just died touching it.
Yeah. Well, I will say I was actually a fan of Joker / Humdrum because I'm a sucker for full-bodied spinners. Looking back on it, it's not all that great. I mean,
Christ, dead metal could cut through that like it was made out of cut paper.
Like a knife right through butter. Like what was that thing that Mike J just reviewed? The slicer thing, the scissor slicer or whatever.
Oh yeah. I just watched it as well. I can't remember. I just watched that.
Yeah.
Hey, another Mike J fan. Get in. I thought I was the only one.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a McDonald's fan.
I need to watch more of his stuff.
His week on McDonald's thing is one of the best things I watched because it's basically him going, "I love McDonald's," and ending him with, "I hate McDonald's."
And then he lost 5 pounds. Damn, I need to lose 5 pounds.
Yeah, but only by eating the shit salads. I bet he probably didn't eat those.
Yeah. So Joker, it's a full-bodied spinner. The team, it is a loner bot because the original version of Joker that they had got lost during shipping. So I'm not sure if that was the one they had in Series 2, but suffice to say, I think that this might be the better version.
Let's be honest, they were both shit.
Yeah, well, those faces totally nuts too. They are not, but hey, at least they managed to get a win.
A win.
They have more wins than Terror Turtle.
Oh.
And Velociraptor.
And Tauron.
Well,
no.
unless they get win a match at BattleBots.
Yeah, maybe.
Because isn't Maelstrom basically just Tauron 3?
How many robots named Maelstrom are there?
Monsoon, sorry.
Maelstrom is Saint Aggro.
Yeah, Monsoon is basically just Tauron 3 in a paint job and a new blade.
I have seen Tauron 3 in action in the live events. This thing's a monster. I think they got a good chance. As long as the power loop stays in and they don't get stuck on any rubbish on the floor, they should be good.
We'll have a big congratulation party for Tauron. And
well, they got three of the best UK builders on it because they got isn't Rory from Nuts there?
No, he's with Craig.
Oh, is he? And Predator, which is also it's basically Foxic 4 in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, he's with the Team Danby.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
Because Craig took Foxic 3 and Predator 2. I'm guessing he's using Foxic 3 for spares.
Because I don't know. He is bringing Foxic to Robo games, so maybe just used it in case he needed like spare parts or something.
I know that the Monsoon team, it's Tom, Sam from Concussion, Sarah Asplin from The Alien, and of course the walking meme that is Tim.
or as I like to call him, the Kevin Owens of Robot Wars.
Have John Reed
Tom Brewster is Sami Zayn.
Have John Reed and Tim team up to make the ultimate meme bot.
Absolutely disgusting.
I waited for a good hit.
And we've got off track. Let's move on.
Well, I'm trying to make this episode longer than 10 minutes. So so let's move on to Rosie the Riveter. Nate.
Right.
Rosie the Riveter. Rambot.
Yeah, it didn't have a weapon in this series, did it?
It had spikes. It had tiny little rammy thingies.
They didn't have an
It
active
had
weapon.
wings. I guess you could call those. No, but this is the only episode where Rosie the Riveter was actually working, because in all the other episodes, you could see it's going very slowly back and forth. They were obviously having speed controller issues. Here, it looks like those issues were fixed, and really, the one big problem they had in this episode was the rear Gravedigger spike getting bent and
They
going
pulled
right.
they pulled a Henry.
Yeah, but I will say it. Regardless, it's Juggerbot. It's solid. It's powerful. It put up a good fight against Pussycat until the speed controller went on it again. What do you guys think of Rosie? Whole lot of Rosie. My favorite AC/DC song, by the way.
You did not just say it's an AC/DC song. It's
Yes.
Led Zeppelin, man.
Oh, come on.
Oh, no, it's not. I'm thinking a whole lot of lead. Sorry, I'm being retarded. Don't worry. Whole lot of love. Sorry, I'm being retarded. Hold on. Sorry, I'm being retarded. Sorry. It's been a long day. It's been a long day, man. I've had like a tooth removed and 2 fillings done. And I'm tired. Okay, I'm under like 5 different anesthetics right now. I like Rosie the Riveter. There you go. that's my stance on it. But no, I do like it.
I prefer Rosie the Riveter 2.
Yeah, because it actually had more power, speed, and a wedge. So
wedge.
It's one of the few pushing robots, especially from America, which actually had quite a lot of personality to it. Like, they didn't just enter a generic box; they actually made it look kind of pretty. They made it look like something, and they actually had a bit of fun with it, rather than just saying, "Here's our box, go out there and fight." You know, so
it's not close enough.
You know what? At least this thing moved.
That's
Yes.
one thing I never understood. Was it a demand by the production team for doing Extreme Robot that every single team had to be dressed up or have a theming?
They were trying to make it more wrestling oriented. They wanted to give, I guess, them all gimmicks and stuff. Try and decorate all the.
Because they were dressed as like World War II pilots.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like all the teams, like most, like
Ryan Navi and the Revolutionist were dressed up like Uncle Sam.
General Chomps. Were they a doctor theme?
I think they were army soldiers.
Yeah. They're supposed to be army.
Who else? Who else to try to think? Yeah,
Tricerabot had the caveman gimmick. Conquering Clown had the clown gimmick. And
most awesome gimmick ever.
Red Virus. No, it's Red Virus that were the doctors.
Yeah.
Rocky Bot, but I know it's season 2. Rocky Bot Boa was.
Oh yes, I mean Rocky was kind of a boring robot, but Duane Bingham made it up with his Rocky impression.
Trilobite,
even though he's from North Carolina, not Philadelphia.
Trilobite was pretty cool with the secret agents. The robot was crap, but the team was all right.
Hey, Tricerabot had the caveman.
Yeah, I just mentioned Tricerabot. Yeah, Noor going. Arr! Yeah, but
still the best theme team was probably the blue. Was blue.
What, from the Dutch Wars?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yo, listen up. Here's a story about a robot team that lives in a blue world. I'll stop.
Shut up. Otherwise,
and their robot is blue, and they are all blue, and it is blue.
Somehow beat one of the favourites for the entire competition.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So that covers the second round losers. Let's move on to the first round losers, including let's start off with the only U.S. loser of the first round bots, the $6 million mouse.
The $6 million mouse. Mouse.
This was basically just like putting Detonator in against Frenzy.
It essentially was.
It's not
I'm sorry,
bad.
I'm not a fan.
I mean, because $6 million mouse, it's a joke entrant, but at least it held up to Pussycat's attacks for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And it was still moving at the end, even though it derped, and that's what caused it to get counted
I think
out.
it got stuck on something.
Yeah.
You
know what? In the battle of cat versus mouse, the cat's gonna win.
Unless it's Tom and Jerry.
When I did that review of the Tom and Jerry Willy Wonka, Jerry seemed to be getting the shit kicked out of him more than Tom. But
let us not speak of that.
I never want to speak of that movie again. Although I'm perfectly fine with all the Scooby-Doo crossovers.
Oh God, have you seen the Supernatural one?
Not yet, but I hear it's insanity. I hear it's got blood and murder in it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not the Supernatural guys in a Scooby-Doo scenario, so it's all kid-friendly. It's the Scooby-Doo guys in a Supernatural scenario.
Awesome.
That sounds awesome.
I saw the one with Kiss. That one was a blast.
So yeah, there's a literal scene where Daphne is contemplating that they're contemplating that heaven and hell exist.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Are you a Christian
what
now?
crossover we really need to see is Scooby-Doo meets Iron Maiden.
Or Scooby-Doo meets Black Sabbath.
Nah,
Or
Scooby-Doo
HD.
versus
Ozzy
Iron
Osbourne
Maiden
comes
makes sense.
I'd like to see a sequel to Scooby-Doo meets Batman, but it's modern Batman.
So, what do you guys think of the mouse?
It's basically just a lawnmower with some fur over it.
It looks like
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan at all.
I said this the last time, but it looks like Series 5 Wild Thing.
No, it doesn't.
Well,
it
the
actually looks
shape
like a more solid little fly to me.
It looks like a very, very prototype Ironside 3, and I mean very prototype. Like
it's the way the blade is angled and the front of it and the face on the front that reminds me of Wild Thing.
Yes, as we know, Wild Thing was covered in fur. Well, apart from the celebrity episode.
Minus the fur.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
But we all know that Little Fly is better than this one, so there we go. Don't we, Alex?
I think that
At least this one could do damage. Kinda.
So did Little Fly! It immobilized the seed! How is that not doing? I'm not going to get into this now. Let's just get on with it. Come on. Next robot, move.
All right, let's move on to the good old UK machines, including the number 5 seed, although you wouldn't know this given its performance here, Stinger.
Stinger, Thwackbot.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Most of Stinger's performance in this kind of time of filming was pretty shit.
I don't like Rebecca Grant because obviously this was the first. Stinger was in the first battle, wasn't it? And just the way she turned around and spoke, saying, "Oh, you think you can handle it against Chompala?" It's like they've taken out worse. Let's be fair. They beat Panic Attack, which could make Chompala look like its bitch quite easily. So yeah, I think they've got a strong chance. You stupid woman.
Yeah.
I actually looked at because again you actually uploaded this episode, didn't you?
Yep, I have every episode of the US series uploaded right now.
With no copyright strikes at all.
Charlie Hubbard.
I got a few copyright strikes from Passion, so.
Because Charlie Hubbard, who I'm almost certain is also in some of the Robots Facebook pages,
He is.
Commented, "You're just a pussycat," and he put afterwards, "And you're a C-grade Carmen Electrochrome." Brilliant. Fair play to it. Good man. Good man. I like Stinger. It's one of my favourite robots from the UK, again. Which is another reason I like this one, actually, because quite a lot of robots I like are in this one. Both US and UK.
I never liked Stinger as a kid, but once I saw its Series 4 fights, I gained a lot of respect for it.
I kind of miss when it had the bumper, like it had in Series 4. Like, I thought they would... I
think they got rid of it because it was when they were, like, flipping over and stuff, it just hampered their mobility in the mace. Because if they were flipped over, then the mace couldn't whack properly.
Yeah.
Plus, it also meant that was a bit more leverage for flippers to get underneath and throw them around a bit more, as Chaos 2 proved.
Yeah.
And then the Series 6 thing was just too fast for its own good.
Yes.
It wasn't too fast. I think just at that point, it was just...
It would flip itself over if it turned over too quickly. If it turned around too quickly.
Well, at least these days we've got Gabriel and Saint Hammer and whatnot. But you will say Stinger was definitely the inspiration for a lot of these thwack spots. And like Nate said, I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought it seemed kind of useless, but I've got a new respect for it now.
It's the thing is, when Stinger's driven well, it can really have a good fight. But sometimes Stinger is not driven well at all.
So have you ever tried driving something like this? It was a very half and half thing. I mean, it in Series 4, I don't know, it was Kevin Scott, mate. He must have, between Series 3 and Series 4, he must have practiced daily. for 5 or 6 hours a day because he managed to really get a hang of the machine. And then,
well, I mean, yeah,
no disrespect to Tim Mann, but Tim Mann and Kevin Scott alternated controls in Series 5. And I think that might have been a bit of a downfall for it.
You can kind of tell, because you can tell, like, some of the fights, like, because wasn't Stinger tank driven? Like, it was tank steered.
Yes. I think it was.
Yeah, because you can tell, like, so when Stinger's driving really well, like in the Pussycat vs. Stinger fight.
Yeah.
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 Something like that. Yeah, so, unfortunately, it wasn't to be for Stinger in this episode.
Although I would say that judge's decision, you could make an argument that Stinger should have won it.
I think because Chompsalot had more control of Stinger, it was able to get a few bites on it. And Stinger, for the most part, the only real damage it did to General Chompsalot was it took the eyes out, but it was mostly cosmetic. I don't know. Speaking of A+ performances, let's talk about Spawn again.
And it's dead.
Shut up.
Spawn again. Flipper.
And this isn't the good Spawn again you'd see in Series 5 and 7. This is the mediocre one from Extreme. The
and
red
Series 6.
blue.
With its rainbow...
Don't say that Spawn again had a good performance in Series 6.
No, I didn't say. I didn't. I timed it so that it came after like the bad Spawn again. This was the Spawn again with the raspberry ice paint scheme, rainbow ice paint scheme.
Yeah.
Which I actually, believe it or not, I actually preferred that paint scheme to the black with the yellow webbing. I don't know why. I just thought it looked cooler.
I think they were trying to imitate the spotlights that they got going in the walls in the background.
What I don't get about Spawn again is that the Series 5 and Extreme one was under the original weight limit. So were they not told that there was a weight limit increase?
I don't know.
Because it was 79 kilos, the Series 5 and Extreme one.
There might have been a case like that. I mean, if Phantasm could come all the way over heavier than a super heavyweight,
yikes.
I guess these guys could, come down under the weight limit.
You know what?
Well,
here's what I find really laughable about this version of Spawn again. It doesn't have a self-righting mechanism, apparently.
Apart from, the gigantic flipper.
Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it...
Maybe it just didn't have, like, the roll bars on the back like it did in Series 5. I don't know.
Yeah, but let's be honest, the flipper reach is so large, and the flipper does have a fair amount of power. It probably wouldn't need the roll hoop.
Unfortunately, it wasn't to be for Spawn again because it fell foul of one of the biggest evils of robot combat, right next to the Fog of War and Doing the Thing. The Power Link popped out.
Yay!
Yay! Oh dear. Actually, I was just thinking about saying Spawn again self-righting. Has Spawn again ever needed to self-right?
I don't think so.
Against,
wait, yes.
Raging
Raging
Nightmare.
Yeah, I was about to say against Raging Nightmare. It certainly did need to self-right. And then
technically twice.
Yeah.
Because it also flipped itself over against in its Series 6 melee.
Oh.
It flipped.
Yeah, but it died. It died after it did that.
Yeah, it
flipped over Tiberius and then self-righted and died.
Yeah, it had one big flip against Raging Reality, and then in the words of John Reed, poof.
Yeah, Spawn again. I will say I like the design. It's one of the first big super-powered flippers, but again, this was not a good performance. So
it sucks that the best Spawn again was the Series 7 one, and it just exploded basically.
Looks like you used too much power. Yeah. So finally, we must finish off with one of the best teams of all time, the Plunderbird Boys, with Plunderbird 5.
Plunderbird 5. Hydraulic Slicer Dicer.
Have they got a stream, Mac?
Yeah,
they don't.
No, they don't.
Forget the lifter as well that they apparently had, which they didn't.
That is not a lifter, that's
they
a wedge.
apparently had, which they didn't.
Or maybe
according to the Series 3 Plunderbird, they could travel faster than time.
What, in circles, like they did, yeah.
I think the idea that the fact that they call it a lifter is that if the crusher goes down, it lifts the robot up. But I don't know.
That makes no sense.
I don't know how this robot works. I've never seen the Crusher do anything.
The only time I've
Couldn't do
ever seen the
anything to
Crusher
Rosie.
move, I think the only time I ever saw the Crusher move was in its fight against Sir Chromalot.
I saw Plunderbird 4's Crusher move once, and that was when it crushed into Fat Boy Tin's front wedge.
And it kind of worked against Scorpion, but I don't know. But yeah, Plunderbird 5, I will say this. Like, was it either Alex or Anderson said?
I said it.
This was probably... They put up a good performance against Rosie. They got some good slams in. And then the robot lost drive, and that was it.
Yay. I think personally Plunderbird's I'm a fan of Plunderbird machines, and my two favourite ones are there's a Plunderbird 2 and Plunderbird 5. Plunderbird 2 because it had a lot of power, and Plunderbird 5 because it had a lot of speed. And I think if they added those two things together, they would have done really well, but they never did. So, yeah. Well done, guys. Well done.
I mean, apparently Plunderbird 6 was supposed to be a bigger version of that Walker that they entered in Techno games.
Ooh.
Oh,
really?
I would have loved to have seen that.
Because
even if it
Noel
couldn't do anything.
talked about it in Techno games. They said, those guys are planning on building a heavyweight version for Robot Wars.
Oh, sweet.
How I
never saw it.
How I would have loved to have seen that thing in Series 7.
I don't know. The Plunderbird boys still doing anything these days?
Well, they were.
I know that Mike Onslow was going to join the Dystopia team for Series 8, but obviously Dystopia didn't get in. So
yeah, wasn't Dystopia going to be rebranded to Plunderbird 6?
I don't know. I don't think it was. No, I think it was just a case of. He was just there for the ride sort of thing. Because basically Dystopia is an old ripper. Dystopia is an old ripper, and then they basically repainted it and called it Dystopia. Just
as I said, if James from Donald Thump gets permission, he should build Plunderbird the next generation.
Big Star Trek fan? Yeah, so I think that pretty much covers the robots. Let's move on to the matches. And like I said, aside from a few short matches, a lot of these matches were pretty close, including General Chompslot versus Stinger, or as I like to call
Brandon,
it,
don't you dare!
The Robot Wars equivalent of a blowjob.
Oh, God damn it, Brandon!
But it is. It legit is. It's a mouth versus a giant phallic-looking metal robot jumping.
We were
in all fairness, in England we call what it's doing a teabag. Because it's the lower region that's going in rather than the top region. I'm going to stop talking there, but
I can't remember. Was Killot in this fight? Because then it would have just been like a
massive BDS. This is like a massive BDSM Robot Wars Gimp style. Let's do it.
Oh no! If you want the Gimp style, just get the Series 7 Agrobot team.
Oh my god!
Well, to be fair, right? I mean, half the things that the Pit reporters wore. I mean that shirt was a little suspect on Julia in Series 4. Just saying. Okay.
Or Philippa's corset in Series 5.
I didn't like her.
Gosh, yeah, that's a good point. Actually, Jesus, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Well, I gotta wonder what they had to say to her to get her to wear that.
Yeah, wardrobe. No. You can just imagine it. She came to the studio with her suitcase. She opened it up and she thought, "Oh shit, I packed the wrong wardrobe."
Yeah.
This is meant to be for hubby's birthday next week. Oh bugger! Oh well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like she walks in, it's like, right, I'm back to do Robot Wars. Oh god, I've missed this. So what am I wearing as the Pit report? Oh, what the fuck?
I've just come back from giving birth. I don't want to think about something like this for another 9 months at least.
Yeah. This match. This match was close. Stinger got some good hits in with the axe. General Chompslot was able to bite down on the wheels and get it around. And then eventually, time starts running out, and Refbot is using his counter to count out the time, just like he did in that Tornado Stinger match. Another Stinger match. That's kind of crazy.
I mean, as we know, like General Chompslot was very good at working the shaft.
Oh!
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but
damn it! I got to admit my game here. This is upsetting.
Yeah.
No, I can't think of it. Damn it. No, this was a good match. I thought this was a really good battle. I mean,
yeah, it was quite good.
It was close, back and forth. Both of us got some good attacks in. This is a decision that quite often divides audience members. Some people like to think that Stinger won. Some people like to think that General Chompslot won. I personally, despite not being a massive fan of General Chompslot and being a huge fan of Stinger, I personally think General Chompslot did deserve the win.
I agree.
Just it managed to get more serious attacks in. Stinger got a few good hits in, don't get me wrong, but I think Chompslot managing to grab a hold of the wheels a couple of times is a bit more of an effective attack overall. So, but it was close. It was damn close.
Yeah, I'm with you, Anderson. It was a very good fight. I did like the fact that Chompslot was able to get a hold of Stinger, something that a lot of robots in the UK just couldn't do, just because of how slippery the design is. But Stinger was just the perfect shape for General Chompslot, and I'm not gonna say anything other than that.
You know what else I have nothing else to say about? The Joker versus Spawn Again fight. One hit and that was it.
Yeah.
It was pretty.
It honestly makes me think, like, watching out those fights back, could they honestly not have gone, like, because they've done it before where they go, do you want to just redo the fight? Like,
I mean, this is a just for fun competition.
Yeah.
To be fair, I don't know. The Spawn guys seem like the kind of guys who wouldn't want to do that. Like, they seem the kind of guys where they lose, that's it. Well done.
Hey, just one thing I wanted to observe for this War of Independence episode. I love how they use the extreme team bumpers when the teams are being introduced. Like Stinger says, well, we came fourth in the last series, and I'm like, oh, cool. I'm sure they'll reference that on throughout this episode. No, they won't.
The only other time they mention a Patro's performance is when Razor showed up in the World Championship.
To be fair, they make the occasional reference to the last series. Like they say, Chaos 2 is the reigning UK champion. Razor is a two-time world champion and such. But, la la la.
Yeah,
there isn't really much else to say.
There's nothing really to say about this fight because it was basically just it was basically like Spawn of Scudder versus
Spawn Again
versus Nightmare, where they just hit each other and that was it.
Yeah.
So this time it was the Spawn robot that died.
Don't you mean Slam Job?
No. Nightmare Series 4 Nightmare.
Oh. Yeah, Spawn of Scudder.
Scudder
versus Nightmare. They actually drove into them, didn't they? And that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was definitely for a while. I think that was like the quickest KO ever, wasn't it?
Well, no, Dominator versus Henry.
The Dominator 2 versus Henry. Yeah, that was 2 seconds.
2 seconds. Speaking of epic fail, Rosie the Riveter versus Plunderbird 5. This match proved that Plunderbird can lose to just about any robot in the world. And here it lost to a robot that doesn't have a weapon and then stuck itself into the floor.
That's the thing. Like this match had a really good opening and then just stopped.
Yeah, it was ironic because they both got some good attacks in on each other. Both were back again, really good back and forth action. And then Plunderbird lost drive on one side, and Rosie Riveter's spike bent down, so it did a Henry, so it couldn't move forwards in a straight line. So both of us sort of just went kaput at the same time.
I think that really scares me is I don't know if these matches were 3 minutes or 5 minutes. Can you imagine if the remaining 3 minutes of this match were just the two of them just limping back and forth the entire time?
Yeah. Charles, I'm surprised Plunderbird wasn't counted out. I mean, it was dead on one side for a hell of a long time.
They didn't have the one-wheel immobilization rule in this series, believe it or not.
Oh, didn't
Thank
they?
God.
Oh yeah, in America they never have had that, have they? I mean, I remember Biohazard in season 3 of BattleBots against Son of Waiachi in the final. They were counted as still mobile even though they were spinning around. I personally agree with the one side immobilized rule just because if a robot's not moving around the arena, then technically it's not doing anything. But
they kind of fixed it by saying that if you can get out of your circumference, that I'm okay. Like if Behemoth was able to fire the flipper and just glide across the floor a bit, it counts as quote unquote translational movement.
Well, it's like, for example, Stinger in the Northern Annihilator. That was literally just in the same spot the entirety of that battle.
I think because there was just so much insanity going on in that match, they didn't even bother counting Stinger out.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rosie the Riveter got the win.
Yes, it did.
And now we move on to an epic clash. First it was Tom and Jerry, then Itchy and Scratchy. Now it's Pussycat versus the $6 Million Mouse.
Thank you.
A match.
Thank you, Mick Foley, or was that Stefan Frank? Thank you, Stefan Frank.
Yeah. I'll give my negative about this match out first. Not that the U.S. lost. This match was so horrendously dubbed. Whenever Pussycat's blade hit the mouse, it made a loud bzzz effect.
Yeah, because Pussycat's blade sounds like that.
It felt like going back to Series 3 sound effects.
Yeah. Series 2, when every time a robot hit another, you hear a bolt falling off.
They reused the sound effects in this series. Like you can hear that crash sound effect when close enough gets flipped. You can hear the scratchy noises when Pussycat's blade hits something.
I mean, it's just needing the audience shell.
I can hear it can have the napalm, napalm, napalm chant the entire time. Which,
you know that audience shell that was in pretty much every episode of Series 3 there. Wah! And there was the woman, and followed by the whistling, and then the woman screaming.
Oh yeah, that dying woman, the wailing.
Yeah.
That shit, yeah. That was weird.
Well, in the battle versus cat versus mouse, the cat came out on top. The mouse's blade got bent inward.
That was a cool spot.
Yeah, I mean that blade, honestly, Tombstone's blade.
That blade probably was straight off a lawnmower.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. And the mouse derped and got counted out, and Refbot with his fast ass counter counts the mouse out, and then the mouse just comes back to life again.
Did it get stuck or something? It seems like it got stuck.
And then at the end, Killalot lifts up the U.S. flag, and one guy I know in the comments said Killalot should have roasted the flag on the flame pit, and I'm like,
that's disrespectful.
Especially considering, this episode came out September 17th.
Yeah, I was about to say there was they were running messages on the bottom of the screen asking, call the Red Cross to donate blood in the wake of September 11th.
Yeah. So, that would have been dark, but Pussycat finally managed to get the win that the UK desperately needed. And now we move on to the semifinals in a USA versus USA clash. General Chompslot versus the Why So Serious Joker, and not a very serious performance from the Joker here.
Yeah, Joker just got slammed.
Yeah, Chompslot just bit into it and just slammed it all around the arena.
Yeah, just gave it to Dead Metal, and Dead Metal probably could have cut right through Joker if it wanted to.
It did.
It's done that multiple times. It's done that to Humdrum.
I mean, like cut it in half, sort of thing. Like, because there was no resistance from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it was even worse. It's even worse than when Dead Metal cut through Exterminator.
Hot knife through butter. But basically Joker, and you can tell that the team didn't have a whole lot of driving practice with this big round thing, because they have no idea where to go. They go right into they steer right into the corner patrol zone. Dead Metal saws into them, and I guess because Dead Metal has this love obsession with the pit, the two of them just fall right into it.
Yeah, and they had to raise the pit just so that they had to raise the pit just so that he could get off.
That's the thing, though. Like, you know how the house robots have a tendency to illegally put the competitors into the pit? You know, like when it happened to Anvil. Why couldn't they just lift the pit back up?
I don't know.
Because drama.
Yeah, because that's not good television. And also because it's not a tornado fight.
Oh God!
Hey! I will say this though. I think that Humdrum definitely got snared, but Tish, because snare drum, Humdrum. No.
I get it.
Humdrum. Yeah, this was pretty much all General Chomps a lot. It bit the mace off. It almost got it into the pit, but unfortunately wasn't able to get its jaw around it. If I was Chomps-a-Lot, I just would have gone YOLO and just slammed him into the pit and got himself in there as well.
Well,
Like
the thing is, they would have won, let's be fair, because the judge would have just said, we're going to judge up until that point, and there was no way in hell Joker was going to win that from that point onwards, up to that point. So they could have just thrown themselves in and said, yeah, we're going to win anyway, lols.
So yeah, bye-bye Joker, and General Chomps-a-Lot moves on to the final round. Now we'll move on. Would you say that I think between this and the final round, this may have been the best match of the show. Rosie the Riveter versus Pussycat.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
Because it started off with Rosie the Riveter was really beating up Pussycat, but then, like Pussycat always seems to have a habit of doing, is that the damage just built up of it over time.
Yeah, you could tell that
Always
by the
did
end it was really limping. I think it bent in the guards on the side.
Yeah, I'm not even. Was that Pussycat who actually did that? Because holy crap!
I think so. I think it was. Yeah, the blade actually. I think a couple of times you saw it actually kind of almost lift them up as well a little bit, and drag them along, sort of thing, which is a bit weird. I will say this though, Rosie's performance definitely was riveting.
Absolutely. And
oh god, that it just took a moment to set in.
Yeah, but eventually, this was a tale of two halves. Rosie was just slamming Pussycat all around, and then Pussycat eventually was able to get those hits in. Rosie started to lose drive and power, and then Pussycat it really showed Pussycat has some surprisingly decent pushing power. Managed to get Rosie into the pit before driving in itself. Good job.
They tried really hard to get away as well, didn't they? David Blessing was trying his hardest. It just fell in, but he was trying his hardest.
So bye Rosie. We'll see you again in the U.S. Championship, and by that I mean you'll just be spending the entire time going back and forth. But we'll get to that. So the final round is a battle of the invertible wacky Axel Funbots, General Chomps-a-Lot and Pussycat. This match was awesome.
It had everything that's needed in a good robot fight. A lot of good back and forth. Pussycat getting some good hits on the side of General Chomps-a-Lot. Chomps-a-Lot trapping Pussycat within its jaws.
A good amount of damage. I mean, Matilda pretty much ripped Chomp-a-Lot's jaw off.
Yeah, Chomp-a-Lot getting mullered was always a good sight for me because I don't like Chomp-a-Lot. Chomp-a-Lot, sorry, General Chomp-a-Lot, sorry. I like Chomp-a-Lot, you know what I mean.
Can I just say this also? Alan Gribble was such a good heel in this episode.
Yeah, you forgot to mention when he put the USA sucks flag on Pussycat before the.
I'm gonna say this about Alan Gribble. He's also because he's one of the most nicest. RIP. Was one of the nicest, sweetest, most humblest men you could ever meet. But if he needed to turn up for television to be like the bad guy, he would just do it and go with it and be all villain, and it was hilarious.
I love. I still say my favorite Alan Gribble moment was his little ending speech in Series 3 after Pussycat got disqualified because you knew that he was right.
Yeah.
This was a very back and forth match. General Chomps-a-Lot managed to make it to the final round despite losing the hubcaps, the whole whatever the heck, the top, bottom. I have no idea which side it was, but eventually Pussycat managed to win on damage on a judge's decision, and I would be angry because the U.S. lost again, but considering I am a big fan of Pussycat and David Gribble definitely was one of the best.
And you're American, so you're used to losing.
I still have that completely Aspergerish comment I left on the Series 4 War of Independence video where I'm like, "You bastards, you lost to the UK."
That's the one I uploaded, isn't it?
I think
it was. Yeah.
Wait, Anderson, were you the guy running the UK Robot Wars channel?
No, I don't think so. No, I wasn't. No, I actually, on my actual channel, I'm sure I did. Hang on, bear with me. I gotta look it up. I gotta check this now. Okay, hang on. I'm on my channel, videos. Let's just scroll. We're looking years ago, like at least 7 years ago now.
7 years of hurt and grief.
Yeah, let's have a look. Uh, 8 years ago. Jesus Christ.
8 years ago.
Yeah, here we go. War of Independence Part 5. So, War of Independence Final. There we go. I too used to record my TV screen. Go me.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty certain somewhere on here. Where is it? It's not there anymore. But Jim did reply to you saying at Headbanger142 or 214.2 or whatever, lol, it's just a show, relax. So you definitely
just
did comment
to yourself, it's just a show. I should really just relax.
For Mystery Science Theater 3000.
That is basic. Yeah, I wonder what happens if they enter Crow or Servo in a Robot Wars fight.
I should talk to Mike, who builds all those crazy bots, and see if he can build a Tom Servo on wheels. that'd be money. But yeah, Pussycat managed to get the win, and they get the trophy, but they don't get to keep the trophy because they gave it to Manta for winning the Civil War. Because okay then.
We didn't have the budget.
Didn't have the budget. The show's been on 4 or 5 years.
Well, for Christ's sake, did you see? Have you? I mean, I'm going to make a comparison. You saw the Extreme Challenge belt, and then look at the Nickelodeon Challenge belt.
Were they the same?
No, the challenge belt that was used for I think it was Nickelodeon, or was it's one of the cheapest looking pieces of shit you'll ever see.
Even more than the Universal Championship?
Hang on, I'm gonna try and find it.
I'll take that as a yes. Yeah.
The Universal Championship was dog.
I don't know. I like red. But really, it doesn't mean anything because the guy holding it only shows up every now and then.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, personally, I think that each belt should be significant to itself. I mean, you could argue, it's what it represents that counts. Yeah, I agree, but I would rather something it represents. So, if you're going to have something be represented by something grand, you need the thing to represent it to be grand, not just a red version of an already existing belt. Sorry, a bit of a tangent there, but there you go.
You know what? Everybody loves angry rants. People loved Nate's angry rant on the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar fight from the previous podcast episode.
Really?
Oh,
hell yeah!
Like,
what was that? What was that? That was the Mania 34 event, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I've just found a picture of not found a picture, but I found the a good image of the video with the belt. If you just skip to the end, actually, I'll just time skip it for you. You can see it, and it's shite.
Yeah, well, if you've seen the Extreme Warriors Series 2 belt, I think it's even worse. And that was the one that Cyclone won. Or actually, again, I don't think they got to keep the belt. I think they just got a regular trophy or some shit.
Cyclone was awesome.
I know,
especially the Annihilator.
Don't worry, we'll review that episode eventually, but it's gonna take a while because I think that was 10 episodes from now. So don't worry. Still, yeah, it is in fact. So, I'll look at it later, but I think I'll see it later.
That's such a shit-looking belt.
Fuck.
Have you seen it, Anderson?
Oh my god! Did they? It looks like they made it out of a payphone.
Oh god!
Like the UK challenge belt looks awesome. But this one is basically it looks like something you could buy out of a pound shop.
Be fair, some guys like to make their trophies out of weird props and tools and stuff. I have I have the Megatron's trophy that I won in that eBay auction that Alex Brown made. Holy crap! I should have a picture taken of this or something, but I'm gonna look at it.
Of course, Brandon, you can't win a championship with your own robot, so you have to buy a trophy.
He's won several.
I know. I'm joking.
I've won 3 Bop Blasts in a row.
I know. I'm joking with you.
I'll probably take a picture of it and upload it, but Basically, the Mechatron's trophy is made out of a CO2 canister, a bunch of screws, some weird-looking sword thing that looks like it came from a jigsaw, more pipes, some weird-looking shield thingy, more screws. Yeah. I actually have an idea for this Mechatron's trophy, though. Speaking of the challenge belt, I've been actually thinking of making this Mechatron's trophy the Beetle Weight Challenge trophy, so that a Beetle Weight can challenge Mondo Bizarro and see if they can win this thing. And
are you gonna have it? Yeah. I mean, I think that the challenge belt is still going on in the UK. Like, I think one of Gabriel. I think one of Gabriel, not Gabriel, Team Saints robots has it currently.
I don't know.
I don't think it's Gabriel. I think it's their other one. Not Sheriff.
Hammer? I thought Beast or Manta has it right now. I don't know.
Not the U.S. robot, but we're getting way off track.
Unfortunately. Yeah. But yeah, that overall, what did you guys think of this episode?
It was the best. It's the best episode of the series.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's for me. It's between this one and the what was it? But the North versus South.
Civil War.
Civil War. That's the one. That Civil War was fun in my opinion because of spectacle. It was great seeing Manta finally actually work to its full potential. And plus, Manta's my favorite US robot, so of course I'm always in that episode. But this one, as an actual battle-themed episode, I think was superior. It's between those two, but it's still a great episode.
Obviously, there's the World Championship, but that's just basically a redub of the Extreme.
Yeah.
So.
And to be honest, I wasn't a massive fan of the Extreme one. Sorry, the second World Championship. I didn't think it was as good as the other two. It was still good, but not as good. But I think this is definitely a solid 8 out of 10 episode. Probably would have been higher had Spawn Again done something. But you can't win them all, can you?
I give it an 8 out of 10 too. How about you, Alex?
I would say 8 as well. Yeah.
Nate?
I give it an 8 out of 10 too. Great fights, great storytelling, and one of the greatest moments ever for David Gribble.
Yeah.
Single-handedly carrying the United Kingdom to a championship, to winning the War of Independence. It's shame that this series, along with Series 5 and Extreme, would be his last.
Mm.
My friend, one of my Facebook friends, his name is Mike. He actually made a page for David Gribble, and he actually told Alan about it when he was still alive. I don't know if it's still up or not. I'll have to ask him about it.
Yeah. All right. So...
R.I.P. both of them. They were a great team and a great family, and it's a shame.
Absolutely. Yeah. That covers the War of Independence.
Yeah.
You know what? Dave was definitely one of the best drivers. I was always a big fan of it. So,
yeah.
So that covers the War of Independence. Next week is an episode that I'm gonna need every single Robot Wars reviewer imaginable to cover because, holy crap, what a clusterfuck the next episode is! It's the U.S. Championship with 24 robots, all in one episode.
Let's have a Annihilator format, but only one round.
Oh. So,
to be fair, it was a pretty cool idea. Nothing had been seen like that had been seen at the time. I mean, I can understand why they didn't do it again, but
unless you count the 10 Robot Rumble in Series 10, but yeah.
Yeah, but
that wasn't a whole championship. That was just like.
And we're gonna get a few reviewers on there. We're hoping to get Mr. Psycho on with us.
And Jim Dramatic.
I gotta make up for stealing his sexy Steven photo, and I'm gonna see if he wants to sing the "We Didn't Start Robot Wars" song again because that one was great. Yeah, that pretty much covers this episode. I'm gonna go drink, use the restroom, and then I got a seance to go to. So,
you're sacrificing.
It was good having you guys on.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us. Cheers, I appreciate it.
Hey, it's good to have you back. We must have more Anderson.
Oh, thank you. You're too kind. Nobody wants that. Even my wife doesn't want that. But there you go.
How is married life?
It's good, thank you. It's good, thank you very much.
Hey.
Good, yeah.
And Alex,
she hasn't left me yet. Let's put it that way.
Alex, how's Mantis looking?
Good, pretty good. I'm hopefully going to get a rage box in some point this month. Hopefully, do plan to get it done next month.
Yeah, you're taking some tips from Charles Guan and Overhaul, because that's basically what Mantis is. It's like a slightly smaller Overhaul, isn't it?
Well, I kind of want to have like the gear system for the lifter. The only problem is that the pivot bracket for Mantis's claw is it's really far back into the robot, so I have to use a linear actuator. So for now, it's not going to be that fast when it comes to lifting.
Well, hey, we look forward to seeing it done and seeing it competing. So
yes, I mean, it's going to be more than just a rebuild. I've got additions that need to be made to the robot. Like it needs a base plate and needs to add some side skirts to it. And
have you got a Shremek?
Of course, I have. Well, actually, no. The lift is used for the Shremek because obviously it lifts it. The body's a rollover design. So.
Right. And Nate, what's going on with you this fine day?
Well, once we sign off, I'm just gonna take a walk and enjoy the nice spring weather. Finally.
Yes. It's fine. It's finally warm out, but there's still like patches of snow outside. If you can believe that.
We just got pissing rain over here.
Yeah.
And that covers that. We're hopefully gonna get the U.S. Championship episode done later on this month. I actually want to finish it before I go to Robo Games on the 25th. So hopefully that happens and yada yada yada.
I'm gonna try and record another episode of not another Robo Wars podcast this weekend.
Yeah, there we go. Got to keep Robot Wars' future bright, even though the show is canceled again. So yeah.
Well, I will say is about that is like, things aren't dead and buried because, I mean, for one, the Twitter account is still very active.
Yes.
So it means that they haven't just given up. Yeah. Well, I just mean that Mentor haven't just said, well, we got cancelled. Okay, well, let's pack it up and go.
Who knows? Maybe they'll get on Challenge, Dave.
My money's on Channel 4.
Channel 4. Whatever. There you go. That pretty much covers this episode. It was good to have you guys on.
Thank you for inviting us.
And until then, I am the Hardcore Kid.
I'm Otaku Nate.
I'm Manus9132.
And I used to be Alexthehunted.
For America!
Now who needs the fire service?
That's it. I'm done with the Monty Python references. You're fired!
Actually, that's not Monty Python.
Oh, really?
It's Fireman Sam.
Fireman Sam. Oh, childhood Vietnam flashbacks happening now.